Hi, this is Kelly from The Truth in Story, and I had a little treat come in the mail today, and I have to say it was, packaged in a, just standard little box here. But when I pulled it out, I was quite pleased to see these little touches, and it just goes to show, really all this is a white card, business card. I actually think it's one of those ones that may even be ripped out. No, it just feels pretty smooth, but it's got a stamp on it of the name of the company, which is Dead on Paper, and it just says, "Thank you, Kelly." I mean, it's such a little tiny touch, and then it's just a piece of black tissue paper with a sticker. That's all it is, but that little touch, I think, just completely makes a thing, just a box versus an experience. And I think people, especially self-published decks, should take note of that, because, for all of us out there who are buying all these decks, it is about the experience of opening a new box and getting a new box. The whole experience is part of the process. And so when it is an experience versus just a blank box with a piece of cellophane or something around it, it makes a difference. It's a little thing. That's what I said. So yeah, I mean, that's all it is a blank piece of tissue paper, but that just made me smile all day long. And that little thing of, "Thank you, Kelly." It just, okay. It's a personal touch. So this is I'm so excited about this. This is a deck of playing cards called the Arcana Tarot Playing Cards by Dead on Paper. Now, I have been watching this company for quite a long time because they had originally produced an Oracle playing card deck that I had wanted. It had sold out pretty quickly, and I had seen this as well when it was in process, and Storytelling Tea and Tarot, or Larissa, had asked me if I'd seen these and reminded me, yes I had, and I promptly purchased them because they were ready to be purchased. And now, let me zoom in a little bit more. This is so gorgeous. There is a light and a dark version of this. The dark is, of course, in black paper, and is gorgeous, but there are two reasons why I went with the light. Let me pull off, and there was probably a nice little tab for me to use, and I was just not paying attention. So I don't want to mess up the box, because look, oh, it's so... Okay, it's so gorgeous. Everything they do is just so stunning. Okay, so you can see, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but it's actually raised. It's not just a flat print. It is more like an embossed print, and it's stunning. So we have Arcana Tarot Playing Cards. Arcana Tarot Playing Cards. Every side is embossed and gorgeous, but then look at the back. Look at the back. It's a tree of life. Now, I am just completely and utterly connected with trees since childhood to a strong degree. And this image of a tree of life here I've had on various things all my life. I adore this. It's so stunning, and it is embossed, and it's gorgeous, and it has stars around it. And I had to get, the dark had, I think, a different back. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the dark had a different backing, and I had to get it for that. And then this says, distributed by Dead on Paper, a Dead on Paper project, Johnston, Ohio, 43031, made in the USA. So, gorgeous, gorgeous card box there. Even, see, look at that. I mean, every little thing. I don't know what this says. Maybe somebody can tell me that can speak Latin. I'm guessing maybe that's Latin. Quod est superius est sicut. Quod est inferius. I don't know. I have no clue. Now look at, and the dark is even more, look at the inside of this. This is an experience box. We have the infinity signs embossed on either little tab. And look, when we remove the cards, I'm not going to have you look inside of here. Oh my goodness, it's just stunning. It's just stunning, plain and simply. There's no other way. You can see how it's embossed. See how that is punched up. It's gorgeous. Oh, I hope that that shows up for you, because it's just this is what makes an unboxing amazing. And this is a set of playing cards, people. Now, so there's the gorgeousness. Okay, so here is the backs, which is again why I had to have this deck. This is going to become my reading playing card deck, you know, for divination. And look at the backing. Now, it's playing card stock, it's linen, it feels amazing. Now this deck has 4, I'm going to get into the actual cards in a second, but this deck has 4 major arcana. So this is a 52 deck card. I don't think it has jokers. This is a regular 52 card deck, but it comes with 4 major arcana cards. The Fool, the Lovers, Death, and the Tower. And they are in the process of making an expansion for this card set, which will have all the major arcanas done in this gorgeous way. So that is in progress right now. It is supposed to come out this year, from everything I could find out, that they would be, so then I would have actually a complete tarot deck with the, you know, the minors as pip cards. So that's pretty amazing to me. And these are pretty amazing because we have the Fool with new beginnings. We have a choice or a decision to be made. We have an ending with a new beginning. And then we have a big change that's happening. And so for these to show up could, you know, just be a cool signal of something, you know, really powerful in the works. So yes, how gorgeous are these? Oh, I adore these so much, and I cannot wait for the full expansion pack to come out, and I will be getting the expansion pack. So that's why it's called the Arcana Tarot Playing Cards. So there we have that. Let's look at these. So we have, of course, let me split these off just because I like to do that. Oh, they're so gorgeous. Here are the spades, the diamonds. Now spades are for swords. See, it has a sword right there. Diamonds are related to pentacles. We have, oops, I actually grabbed, oh, then it starts to go the other way. Don't do that to me, people. Then we have the clubs, which are for wands or for fire element. Can we get them all on here? I'm going to have to zoom out a little more. And then we have, I put them, they swapped some of the order for the last 2. And then we have hearts, which are for cups in tarot. How gorgeous are those? Can we just say how gorgeous are those? We have lily pads here for the cup. We have a acorns and a, you know, branch, kind of a branch for the clubs, and we have flames coming off of it. You can see clubs on 2, and then an actual wand on either side. Same thing. Hearts and cups, diamonds and pentacles, and spades and swords on the either sides of the cards. And here we have, of course, a sword with the crown over the top, and the cloud to do with air. I mean, they're so stunning. I can't even tell you how gorgeous. Even on the box, look at, we have the 4 elements there. I just love everything about this. I'm so excited. So, I'll put them back in order. They're very slippy, I will say, but they're playing cards. They feel fantastic. They've got like a linen feel to them. I'm going to probably have to hold on to them. Okay, so here we have the ace, and then we have pip cards. I'm going to go through these real quick just so you can see them. But again, you can see that we have the sword representation and the spade representation. So that's always in our mind, that connection there. They're gorgeous. They have that dirty, drawn look of paper that's been worked with in the background that is absolutely gorgeous. 10, and then we get to our jacks, which are being treated as knights. Now, in playing card divination, it's usually a more youthful person than the king. I also think as the reds as females and the black jacks as males, just in divination wise, but these are all probably going to be knights, and I'm assuming that probably when they put out the expansion, they're going to give us a page. But here we have that. Look at the gorgeous Queen of Swords with the eagle. Oh, and then the gorgeous King of Swords. I mean, oh my goodness. So then, of course, we saw the Ace of Pentacles and or diamonds. We have our suits, and again, we can see our pentacles and our diamonds and the gorgeous dirtied stock there. This deck is so stunning. There is our Knight of Pentacles on his large, like, Clydesdale horse. That, you know, plotting, it's strength and endurance, and it's not super fast going on. Here we have the gorgeous Queen of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles. Or diamonds. Here we have the beautiful Ace of Wands with the flaming thing. And again, we have our wand there. And quickly, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 of clubs. And then here is our Jack or Knight of clubs, our Queen of Wands or clubs, and our King of Wands or clubs. So gorgeous. So gorgeous. Here is the Ace of Hearts and or water and or cups. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 of them. Very nice, big, bold, very obvious what they are. Here we have the Jack or Knight of Hearts or cups or water. The Queen, very resplendent with her seashell and her water and her beach. And the King of Hearts, cups, water. So that is this absolutely gorgeous deck. Let me slide it out. I mean, there's not much, you know, to spend on these because they're simply gorgeous. And then, of course, we've got these 4 here, which I'm going to probably shuffle in. I haven't decided yet, but for right now, I'm going to leave them out because I want to talk a little bit about playing card divination. But let's give these a shuffle. I mean, they're so gorgeous. So gorgeous. I have been studying, well, I've looked into playing card divination. Of course, they shuffle lovely. They've got a great feel to them. They have an almost rough cut. They're not. They're very smooth, but they are not like a glossy smooth. They have a, I think they're going to age gorgeously. And I love because you can see it's almost like a taupey, it's not white, it's like a taupey white, and it's the same color. You know, you don't have one like, you know, off-white here, then the bright white cut edges, and then, you know, it's all uniform in color, so that is just gorgeous. They shuffle beautifully. But yes, I've worked off and on with just using playing card divination. You can, you know, do it pretty simply if just understanding the correlation between the suits, the minor suit in tarot, as well as the, you know, understanding numerology and understanding your minors in tarot. That's going to help you quite a bit, even though it's not a one-to-one correlation always. So I've been studying it, and I've been intensely studying it working with it in the last year or so. And when I saw this deck, I was like, yes, sold, sold. It was about, I want to say it was $15. They had a standard and an expedited shipping. I want to say the standard was 3 something and the expedited was 6 something. I purchased this Saturday or Sunday and it came today. Sorry, I'm just trying to get a really good shuffle on it. Okay. Let's zoom out and talk for a minute about playing card divination. I have 2 books. The first book that I got, let's see if I can, you can see it for a minute when I bring it up. So it's called Speed Learning Cartomancy, Fortune Telling with Playing Cards, and it is by Julianne Moore. Not Julianne, but Julian. I believe it's a man. And this is a great way to very quickly get into understanding working with playing card divination. Now, so I have that one. I worked with this system. This really doesn't take much work, and I'm going to show you how easy it is. But I worked with this one for a while, and then the only other book that I have, well, I have a couple books actually. I think there's one other I have, but I haven't read it yet. This one is Fortune Telling with Playing Cards. I got more because I liked some of the stuff that it was doing with Lenormand, as well as a master method that I wanted to work with. And it also had the Romney method and some Romney spreads. And then it goes through, so for each of the cards, it has the traditional name, the King of Hearts. It talks about, who they were meant for, an appearance. So it was the King of Hearts would have fair hair, or auburn hair, or light brown hair, blue, gray, or hazel eyes. Astrological, the meaning, usually an older man, etc., etc. So if it's a Lenormand connection, it would give you the Lenormand connection. So this goes into quite a lot of information for each of the playing cards in the deck. So this is handy to have, but let me say, if you just want to get in and get dirty with playing card divination, I really do like the quick one. Now, the same sort of thing comes up with what problem you have with Lenormand. People have been using playing cards for divination for a very, very long time, since they've been playing cards, right? And so there are, in all different regions, in all different areas, there are many different ways to read playing cards. So when you Google how to read playing cards, you can come up with all kinds of variations. They're all fairly similar, but they do have variations, and they do differ from each other, and one person has the right way and this other person's not the right way, and this is the right way to do it. This is the traditional way. That's very difficult to say this is the traditional way, because depending on the region, depending on the area, depending on the playing card deck. In Germany and France for a while, it was a 32 card deck for a lot of the time. So it gets very difficult for anybody to say that they have the one right traditional way. So for me, it was about, all right, this is the same thing I came across, I think is the same with Lenormand. Picking a way that feels right to you and then staying with it so that you have consistency, rather than grabbing from all different areas and coming up with a huge conglomeration of all different information, which can get quite confusing, and you start to get quite muddied readings. So for me, what made sense to me about the speed, what was it called? I have it marked down here in my little handy dandy little white book. Speed Learning Cartomancy by Julianne Moore. What spoke to me about this is that this very much feels similar to how Kellyanne Maddox explains to learn the minors, which is to understand numerology, understand the basic suits and what they mean, and then you can easily know all 56 cards in the minor arcana. And this is a similar way in which this deck this system approaches playing cards. And it builds on the most basic information to going into more detailed information. I think it works beautifully. Everything you need to know is technically, this is just little notes on kind of how to go about doing the reading, but we technically 1, 2, and that's a spread. So technically, everything that you need to know about how to read, to get started reading playing cards, are on 2 of these little tiny pages that aren't all that much thicker than a playing card. And so that's what I like, is just to get in there and get down to the nitty-gritty. So what are those basic things, you might ask? Well, let's talk about it. For a moment, by the basic beginning structure is, and it will modify because it's not necessarily true, but when we're first scanning, the first thing to pay attention to is that red is good and black is bad. Now, that doesn't hold true throughout all the cards, but when we're doing our initial color scan, it's good to know that. And we saw that with Lenormand, where we had the hearts as yes, so good, and the diamonds as maybe yes or kind of good, right? The now in Lenormand it's different, because in Lenormand the clubs are no, really no or bad, and the spades are maybe no and kind of bad. That kind of goes along that continuum a little bit more, but just in terms of straight up scanning color at the beginning, you're going to see, I'm going to walk you through this. The first basic understanding is that red is bad and red is good and black is bad. So when and this system is really built on the 3-card method. Again, you don't ever just draw one playing card. You're going to always draw sets of 3. So if you have black, black, red, things haven't been good. Things have been tough, but it's going to get better. It's getting ready. The clouds are getting ready to part. Red, red, black are things have been going along really good, but there's some clouds coming. Dark times are coming. Red, black, red, you're entering into a rough period, but it's going to get better again. Black, red, black, things have been rough. We're having a little bit of a better period, but it's going to get rough again. The bad times aren't completely over with yet. So that is just basic first scanning, right? Okay, so let's just sit with that idea for a little bit. So without doing anything else, not looking at anything else, we're just going to look at sets of 3 gorgeous cards and say to ourselves, red, red, red. Things are going well, right? Because clearly, which I guess should be written in there, but all one color is going to be things are going great. Things are going good. This is a good thing, right? So here we have black, red, black. Things have been a little bit rough. There's going to be a period where things are getting better. There's going to be a little bit of a lift in the clouds, but there's still some dark times to come. It's not completely over yet. Red, black, black. Things have been going okay, but we're moving into a difficult time. It's not going to be going so good. We're going to have to be dealing with some difficult things in the future. Black, red, black. Same thing here. Things have been difficult. Clouds have loosened up a little bit, but we're not quite over it yet. So don't get out your pom-poms. There's still some difficult things to come. So you can see with just colors, things have been good, but we're going into a bad patch. We talked about that. Black, red, black. Things are bad. Got a little easing, but don't count on it staying for long. We've got some work to do. And so on and so forth. Just seeing if any other combinations come up. So let's say we will make a couple combinations. So that things have been rough, but things are looking up now, moving forward into the future. If we have all blacks, let's see if we can pull an all black here. Yeah, things are not looking good. Things right now in this situation are not going that great. It's all black. So simple scanning by understanding those just colors. And this is the first thing that you do when you turn over your 3 cards. Obviously, if it's all black, things aren't going good. If it's all red, things are going great. Black, black, red. Been tough, getting better. Been good, getting worse. It's been good. We're gonna having a black spot, but it's gonna get better again. That's just a little bump in the road. Same thing here. Things have been bad. We've got a little light in the road, but it's not over yet. Okay, so that's the first thing that we do when we turn over our 3 cards, and it's very, very simple. We don't need to go into anything other than just saying to ourselves, and that's how you can practice doing that. Just saying to yourself, red, red, black. Okay, things have been going along really good, but we're getting ready to hit on a rough patch, and you just kind of say that to yourself, black, red, red. You know, and just purely looking at the color. And in the book, he even has you kind of just go through and just work with just that for a little bit. Very simple, very easy, not difficult. So then you're going, in order to understand the actual suit, so let me get, I shouldn't have mixed all these up. Okay, so here's a suit we have of diamonds, aka pentacles, and we have all of the number cards laid out here, or the pip cards, or the dot cards, whatever you might want to call it. And we're going to go over the suits in just a second, but basic numerology is very important in understanding tarot minors and or many different things, but tarot minors as well as playing cards numbers. So you'll even see in my tarot, let me find it. Of course, I do actually have an index, but I felt like I could just as easily get there. Here we go. Numbers. Seeds are beginnings, 2s are choices or duality, 3s are growth, 4 is stability or foundation, 5 is instability, 6s are challenges, 7s are persistence, 8s they're beating the obstacles, 9 is integration, and 10 is completion. That's for tarot numbers. Now he gives these. Now I think that just understanding these helps you to understand the numbers anyways, but for right now I'm going to give you what in this book, Speed Learning Cartomancy, just so we can stay with this one system. So we have 1s or aces as beginnings, 2s as cooperation, you bring 2 people into it. 3 as expansion, those 2 have now become 3. 4 is security. 5 is activity. Now that could be positive or negative. Generally in tarot, 5s are disagreements of some sort across the board. But this is about activity. 6s are about communication. 7 is the number for spirituality. That's just something you kind of know anyways. 8 is about inspiration. 9 are about changes, and 10's about success. And this is a cycle. This is a progression. And so the higher the numbers are near the end of the cycle, and the lower numbers are near the beginning of the cycle. Okay, so we have the numbers, and that's just a very short little list there. Beginnings, cooperation, expansion, security, activity, communication, spirituality, inspiration, changes, and success. So, okay, we need to know those 10 numbers there. Now, but what about the court cards, you say? Well, those are pretty easy because court cards are people. We have jacks, queens, and kings in a standard playing card set. So jacks are young people. Generally, in the way that this system works, red jacks are females and black colored jacks are male young people. The kings and the queens are the men and the women of the world within their suits. So they are people of more authority, or these are more younger people. There we have it. So there's another quick little section. In the court card, hearts Well, I'll get to that when we go to the different ones. I'm trying to make this setup so it's quite obvious what we're talking about. So very simply put, we have the understanding of black and white, or black and red, just black and red, very basic there. Then we have the understanding of what the numbers are, and in general, that the jacks are young people, reds are females, blacks are males, and that the kings and the queens are people of the world within their suit, more authoritative in their suit. Okay, so that is the important things there. The final pieces to the puzzle are simply understanding what the suits are. So that's what we're going to look at next. And this is just really like, obviously I can do a lot and will do more playing card videos. But I just wanted to really quickly introduce you to this very simple, quick system that doesn't take a lot to get a grasp on and to get started on, and then you can build from there. But this just gives you, and it makes sense to me because it's based on numerology, it's based on the different suits. It makes sense in a logical way that makes sense to me, and so there we go. I go with what makes sense, and don't overcomplicate things until you get the base stuff down well. So here we have our suits. Actually, I should kind of rearrange these. Okay, here we have playing card suits. Now, these are different in a French or a German sense. There's acorns, there's different things to it. But we're just going with this system of 52 card deck where we have hearts, diamonds, clubs, and spades. Now, in this particular system of learning how to do this, diamonds are about money, success, power, and energy. That's a little bit different. They're not exact duplicates of tarot, although I think that you could easily read them that way if you wanted to, because then you could simply read these as the minor arcana, so that when you get the Three of Swords or the Three of Spades, it's the Three of Swords. So that is something that you can certainly do, and something that I have certainly done in the past, and this deck makes that very easy to do. But if you want to read a more traditional playing card style, that's what I'm talking about today. So this is about money and resources and the power to generate, the energy to generate resources. In the hearts are about love, emotions, healing, and pleasure. The clubs are about work and progress. They're the social cards. They're also the business cards. This is about the actual money, but this is about kind of that aspect of getting it and the people that you're working with in order to get it. And the spades are the swords, the implements that we use during difficult times. They're hurdles, obstacles, and decisions. Okay, so this is all that we have to know just in terms of beginning to be able to read. Now, the one other bit of information that I have written down on my 2 pages of information is that in terms of the court cards, hearts, I get a heart court card. Here's a heart court card. Hearts are people. So courts in playing cards tend to be actual people if you read them that way. And so this would be family and friends. Diamonds would be colleagues and acquaintances. Clubs, let's see if I can find a... Clubs would be influential contacts. And spades... find a court spades. Okay, here we go. Spades are about our competitors, because this is, generally a competition kind of. The spades in playing card divination is not a happy suit. So it is that way in swords as well. I think even more so in playing card divination. So there we have in a nutshell. And again, I highly recommend, you can get this book on Kindle for under $10. You can also get it obviously in regular format. If this kind of quick, easy way of approaching it appeals to you, then I would highly recommend picking up the book. but pretty much, because it does go into much more detail. Not much more. I mean, it's still a quick book. It's not a big book. And again, everything you really have to know is on these 2 little pages. The understanding of the first scan of black, black, red, 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 black, red, black, red, black, red, black. The understanding of the basic understanding of what the suit represents, what the numbers represent, and what the courts represent. That's all you need to get started with reading with playing cards. So, knowing that, and again, the thing to keep in mind is to always be doing sets of 3. Now you might have a 9 card, but that's still 3 sets of 3. You might have a 7. I quite like the 7 sets of 3 that have specific positions involved in them that I quite like, that you can do as well, but you're still reading them in sets of 3. So let's say we have a question about work, because that's very often the case, right? So we would go ahead and lay out our cards, and the first thing we would do is black, red, black, and say, okay, there's been some difficulties going on at work. We're seeing a little bit of clouds parting, but it's not over yet. Whatever the trouble is that's going on, it's not over yet, and you can expect, you know, to kind of gird your loins because there's some more trouble coming. So there we have just briefly scanned it, right? So then we can look and say, all right, well, now this is how, because playing cards generally, and especially in this method, work in sets of 3, and they group them together. So the first card at first becomes the focus, and we look at the second card to see how it influences it. Then we look to the second card, which becomes the focus, and we see how the third card influences it. So that's what we're going to do next. So we're talking about work. We have, we have the 10, which is success, and we have the clubs, which is about work, right? So, okay, there's some success going on here. This is a successful working situation that's happening. That's a good thing. But there's a young person who may have an emotional connection, maybe a friend, that is some way impacting this situation. And because we know of this bad, good, bad, we can kind of say to ourselves, well, this may be having some kind of a negative impact on it. And how is that, you know, are we giving too much weight to what this person says because they are a friend or family member, you know, that kind of thing. That you want to look at. And then you'll look, okay, so now we're going to figure out more about it. Well, okay, here we have this young person at work who doesn't necessarily have to be younger, but maybe more inexperienced. Somebody you consider a friend, somebody that you consider at least a good acquaintance there, more than an acquaintance, I should say. And then we look to the 8s. Well, we know that the 8s are about inspiration. We also know that the spades are about problems. They're about decisions that need to be made. So there is a decision, a difficult decision that needs to be made about this person who is perhaps too much, you're too friendly with them, and you're not keeping work and friendship separate, and that is impacting the work environment with this, you know, black, red, black. And obviously, because a decision or something difficult needs to be addressed, that does let us know that some difficult times are coming. Then we would just kind of see, do we have a predominance of suits, which we don't. In this one we have, you know, 1 of 8. Like if we had 2 wands or 2 spades, we don't have that, so we would look for that. And we would also scan for different numbers. The other thing that we can do then is to add our numbers. So 10s, and then jacks are the next, so that's 11. Queens would be 12, and kings would be 13. So 10 plus 11 is 21. 2 plus 1 is 3. And so we know that 3 is about expansion. So even though things are difficult right now and there's some things that need to be dealt with, we're going to be seeing some expansion if we can deal with this situation. We can also add the 11 plus the 8 and have 19. 9 plus 1 is 10. And so we do have the idea that this difficulty with this person, it's going to have a successful conclusion. It's just going to be difficult right now. We could add all the numbers up and have 21. So we would have 28, 9, 10. So again, success. So it's difficult, but we do have a successful completion once we can get through this difficult time. And that is just a very quick example of how you would very quickly get up and running with using playing card divination with a very small amount of information. So I was going to do a handout for this, but the fact of the matter is that the book itself is pretty concise to this information, and so I certainly don't want to turn around. You can just buy the book. The book again is quite cheap. You can get it in Kindle, you can get it on iBook, and you can get it in a book format. So, if that quick, concise way of looking at the cards is something that interested you or piqued your interest or resonated with you, then I would highly suggest getting that. Am I saying that it is the best traditional way to read playing cards? Not necessarily, but again, traditional, the idea of what's the right way to do something that has had so many different peoples, so many different cultures using playing cards, I think becomes quite muddy, and it becomes quite important for you to find what works for you. But let's just take, for sake of, testing here, let's look and talk about, so here we have threes of spades, and we have expansion, so we have a difficult time, a problem area because it's spades, but it is to do with expansion. It is going to create some type of growth or movement forward, which is that even with three of swords, we can think about as painful. We'd always learn from painful situation. I mean, that's just the way it goes. But now I'm going to look up in this the three of spades. And this talks about a frustrating situation that's gone on for longer than they wanted. It's a trouble that's gone on too long. It's going to push the person to maybe do something that they shouldn't. And we have that idea of, because it's spades, which is air, swords, air, to think before you do something. And so that's quite a different meaning than what we would think of here. So again, if we have 4 for stability, and then we have clubs, which would be for work and progress and social and business contacts and those kinds of things. So we have a bit of a sense of a stability there, and we can take a little bit of a break because things have been stable. That we can see in the Four of Wands, that kind of celebration because things have become stable. I think that goes quite well with the tarot version of the Four of Wands, whereas when we look at the Four of Wands in this particular book, or I'm sorry, the Four of Clubs, this is known as the Devil's Bedpost. This is an ill omen, according to this deck. So that's quite different than the Four of Wands in tarot, or the Four of Wands, or the Four of Spades, the Four of Clubs in the system that I was reading. And so there you can see how very different systems can change depending on how you are. And this could be quite traditional, but because I am coming from tarot, I do want to have it somewhat relate to what I understand of the Four of Wands. And so I can get on board with the fours being about stability, right? And so that is why you can get very different books that are going to tell you very different things, and especially in a system that is, been used by so many different people in so many different cultures, it becomes very difficult to decide what is right. And I don't think that it really matters about finding out what is right so much as it matters about finding out what works for you and sticking with it. And so what works for me is working with a a combination of the numerology as well as understanding the suits. And having that sort of ideology there, and I am going to tie it a little bit more in with tarot numerology and a little bit more with how I understand these suits to be in tarot, more so than I'm going to, I guess, the true traditional that doesn't exactly resonate with my understanding of it. So that's how I'm approaching it. You're going to have to figure out what you want. The same thing that I suggest with Lenormand, which is figure out what it is that resonates with you. Pick one book that works for you and stick with it at least until you have a base understanding. Because otherwise, you're going to get frustrated, you're going to get irritated, and you're going to be all over the place. Your readings are going to be all over the place because you're not following a consistent method, and so that becomes problematic because you're just kind of pulling things out of there. Nothing is going to be consistent, and so that, I think, is what's really key in any kind of reading system, is that you pick out one thing to focus on, decide what it is, a small number of keywords, a small number of associations, and just use it until you're comfortable. And then you can start to incorporate other things that might work for you, but get your base down. And I believe that to be of just about anything that you attempt to do new. So there we have a brief look at how I'm approaching playing card divination, as well as a look at this absolutely gorgeous card deck, which again is from Dead on Paper. I will have a link to it in the description box below, and it is called Arcana Tarot Playing Cards. And there is going to be a full expansion set of the major Arcana cards, which will then go with these to actually create an entire set of tarot cards. So I'm quite excited about that, and love these cards very, 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 very much. Talk to you later.